Hello everyone, it's Yuri from Mouse here, and we got a nice lap guide for you for the VRS racing at Bathurst, which will be very good practice for the Bathurst 12 hours as well. We're in the BMW, always a pretty nice car to drive here. Lots of tricky corners, lots of tricky lines to get right, so let's have a look how this looks like when we go for a hot lap. So here we are, at the end of the last sector. As usual, we're on race fuel, and the BMW. And the BMW is not just usually historically a fast choice at Bathurst, but it's also a fairly safe choice. It's quite predictable over the mountain and it's not too snappy coming off the mountain compared to some other cars. So it usually is a good car all around here. Starting the lap. Turn 1 you want to look at, I look at the tire marks, but you can also look at the 50 mark and brake just before that. Focus on that good exit. We got the whole run up to turn 2 up the mountain. Turn 2, there's a groove on the inside that you want to catch. I brake just after the entrance road on the left and then catch that groove on the inside. And I try to keep the speed up there, but as long as you catch that groove, you should have a lot of grip. I brake just after the kink. And then make sure to keep it tight around the wall here. It should be just about flat, these corners here. Maybe a small lift for the next left-hander. The downhill. Try to carry as much speed as you possibly can. Well, keep hitting the apexes. Line the car up for the right. Try to focus on a good exit. And those corners, especially down the hill, they come at you very, very fast. So once you start missing the apex in one, you'll miss the apex in the next one as well. And it's more important that you keep your rhythm, keep hitting the apexes, than maybe gain an extra 100 or 200 in the first corner. I'm braking just before the 100 here. Aim for that inside curb and just about clip it or just about miss it. Run up to the last corner. Hard to find your braking point here. And run up to the line. That's the lap around Bathurst. Right, so here we are starting a lap. For turn 1. What's most important about turn 1 is the exit. And what I like to look at is the start of this line here to start my braking. So this first skid mark here is what I use as a reference to start braking. I know usually it's not the best thing to do to look on the track for markers, but the 50 is quite far away. You can also use that. If you go from the car, the reference is a bit different. You can also use this when this gets close, but I'm a bit more precise here. It's just when you're following someone, it will be tricky to see where you're braking if you don't know where the 50 marker is as well. Go from behind. Keep it all the way to the right, get the car to the inside. And you'll see this as well, turn 1 not as much, but also a bit. There's a bit of camber on the inside that you really want to hit. If you miss this camber, your car is going to understeer wide and you're going to miss the exit. What you want to do is set the car up for a good exit here. So slow on the entry, late apex, and you see once I'm at the inside curb, I'm almost flat out already, and I try to get a good exit running all the way up the hill here. And any speed you carry out of turn 1 is speed you carry all the way up the hill to turn 2. Turn 2 I use this exit road on the left here as a brake marker, down 2 gears, and you try to keep the speed up as long as you follow the inside curb. So you brake a bit, follow the inside curb here. You see there's a lot of banking down the inside. It's also why it's very hard to overtake here if you don't have this inside line, because that banking isn't here on the outside and your car will understeer towards this wall. So very important to follow this inside. If you follow this inside, the car will have a lot of grip and you'll be able to keep the speed up. On the exit you can start running wide. The banking is kind of going away there. You can run all the way up to the wall here over the curb. You want to set up the car well for the next hairpin. meaning you run as close to this wall as you can, to then straight line the braking zone as much as you can. So you go to the inside, and then you brake around the middle of this corner. Depends how comfortable you are braking for the next corner. So from the inside, you try to straight line this as much as possible, and then start braking around this point here, maybe even a bit before the kink, and then try to straight line brake to the outside, but it's very important you make it back to the inside. So you want to brake from here, but you want to make it back to the inside here and follow this wall. Again, because there's a bit of camber around the track here. If you run too wide, from this point on here, the car is going to understeer. And if you follow this wall on the inside, you'll just have more grip. One thing you will have to be careful of is that the meta now on setups, if you use quite a lot of setup shops, the inside wheel can start spinning here because cars work well with low differential. And the inside wheel's unloaded, which means that maybe you feel like you have the grip here, but if you're too quick on the throttle, the inside wheel can start spinning. So you need to be a bit careful there. For the next couple corners, these are just about flat. Maybe a small lift here once the tires get worn a bit, but you want to make sure to use again all of the track on the left side here on entry, and then slow steering movements to get the car to turn in. Use all the exit here, and then the same here. You want to bring your car all the way to the right here, close to the wall. From this point here, a small lift should be able to get you to the next corner. So small lift here, and then flat again, and run as close to this wall as you can. This wall will give a lot of people damage in the race. So be careful with understeering here, especially the first lap when the tires are still cold. Want to run all the way to the outside here. Small brake moment here, or just a big lift. Get your car towards the inside curb here, and then throttle early again. If you understeer here, hit this grass, you're going to be in quite a lot of trouble being back on the left side here for the next corner, and even avoiding as well. So you want to make sure that your car is rotated with the small tap on the brake on the entry, or the big lift into it. And then we get to the most hectic part of the whole track, the downhill section. I try to brake just before I'm going down, and again, when we're braking, we try to go in a straight line, which is very tricky here, but try to go as much in a straight line as you can. That means bringing it all the way from the outside here, braking in a straight line, getting as close to this wall as you can. Again, running as much on this curb as you can on the left side, and trying to keep the speed up. Try to get as close to this point here as well, which helped me gain a lot of lap time, is you try to hit this point here. You don't try to follow the wall, but you try to hit the point where this, the wall starts on the right side, and then you can run a bit wide, and then you start getting towards the right side again. Got the dipper, and what you want to do in the dipper is you want to brake beforehand, so that your car's rotating when you start falling into it. If you're understeering, by the time the track starts to disappear from you, the car will just keep going straight, and when it lands, it will just keep going straight. So how do we get the car to rotate? You tap the brakes while we're still on the track before it starts going down drastically. So we tap the brakes here, get the front to bite in, and by the time my front's completely falling, I can be on throttle, the car's rotating, and by the time I land, the car will compress, and because it was rotating before we got to the point where it goes down a lot, the car will keep rotating, and I will miss this wall even though I'm flat out. So that's how you go through the dipper. Stay as far to the left here as possible. That way we can again straight line the braking as much as possible for the forced elbow. Get all the way to the right here, and then forced elbow, it's very, very easy to overshoot. You're going in much slower. It feels like you're going in too slow, much slower than you think you would. Brake in a straight line. Again, try to hug this inside wall, and if you do this correctly, you can go on the throttle really early and get a good exit that you need for the back straight. I'll just show you from the cockpit cam here, because it feels like you're going really slow. So braking here, braking, and it feels at this point you're almost standing still. But if you slightly overshoot this inside here, the car again will just understeer, and you'll struggle avoiding the wall on the left side. As long as you hit this inside here, you can go on throttle, see really early. I'm full throttle here already, and the car will keep rotating, and we missed this wall on the right side. And what is does for us is maybe we lose a tenth on the entry, but because this back straight is so long, we gain like 2 or 3 tenths on the back straight. And we just make sure that we're braking here as far to the right of the straight line as we can, and then braking at almost the deepest point. My reference point is the 100 and brake just before that, but as you can see from the inside of the car, it looks like we're getting close to the 100. From the outside, in reality, we just passed the 150 marker where we start braking. And because the car's compressed here, there's a lot of force on the tires. That means we can brake really hard. And I'm almost braking to 100% here, which is what you normally don't see in the GT3s. Keep it to the right, focus on a pretty good exit here, and you want to just about hit or just about miss this apex curb here. It's quite high if you run all the way over it, but you want to kind of clip that. And again, early on the throttle again, make sure we get a good exit. And then last corner, I really struggle finding a braking point for that always. So if we look from inside the car, there's no real marker here on the right we can use at all. You brake somewhere between the 100 and the 50, and on the left as well, it's quite hard to see where we should be braking. So what I use is just around the middle of this, between the 100 and the 50. And just make sure you don't overshoot the corner and still have a good exit from the corner. And that's the lap around Bathurst. So there you have it. Nice lap guide around Bathurst. Very good practice for the Bathurst 12 hours. The bob is yet to be determined, so that depends a bit on the bob which car will be the fastest, but the BMW, as we talked about, will always be a pretty safe choice to go for. It's historically always been a pretty decent pick around the track. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel.